Hello everyone, I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great, Cam. The school year has ended, but the Everything podcast is still here. So yeah, I'm doing great. And how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. School year's ending for me tomorrow. Very excited about that. And
Awesome.
I'd argue that summertime is the prime of the Everything podcast. I think that's when we really hit our stride. If you'll remember last year, we had a few in-person episodes and fun little things that we got to do in person. That's not a guarantee, obviously, this summer, but I'm sure we're going to figure out some sort of fun thing to do for the podcast this summer. Whether it be longer episodes, just because we have more time these days. So, yeah, I definitely argue that summertime is prime everything podcast season. And now, let's address the elephant in the room here. I have lost my voice, kind of. I was at the Weekend concert last
Nice.
night, and it was a great experience. You can see the Weekend's literally right behind me in that vinyl. But yeah, it was a great concert, stadium tour. So it's a big epic show. Um, he's just a great performer. Um, yeah, it was a legendary show to be sure. I mean, the lights, the pyrotechnics were just out of this world, and yeah, I was just super impressed by his performance, his live singing, the dancers he had. It was all really impressive. So if you guys get the chance to see the Weekend live, he puts on like a 2.5 hour show. Plays 40 songs. I'd recommend that. Even if you're not a huge fan of his music, you'll hear at least one song that you know and that you like. So yeah. But speaking of that sort of 80s aesthetic, something else with an 80s aesthetic, or because it takes place in the 80s, is Stranger Things, which we got
Yeah.
not the teaser trailer like we thought we would, but we got what was it, the date announcement was the official name of it,
Yep.
which, everyone was saying online, trailer for Stranger Things season 5 coming out, blah blah blah. I'm anxiously waiting for it to come out. It was at that Netflix event, and they were saving it for the end of the day. But a bunch of trailers have been coming out that day, and they've been great. So my excitement's building up, building up. Then I see it's a date announcement, and I was a little disappointed, but that date announcement just got me so pumped for season
Yeah.
5, and I've begun rewatching Stranger Things. Not one. I'm rewatching season 4. Just I don't know. Well, you can respond to this if you want, but I think season 4 is on a whole different tier than the first 3 seasons. I think it's just one step above, and that's
Hmm.
not even saying that like none of the seasons are below an 8 out of 10.
Right.
None of them are even close to being bad. I just think season 4, maybe it's because it's the only season I watched as it was coming out. Maybe that was why. Maybe it's the nostalgia factor of when we watched it. Or it could just be that, yeah, I just actually think it's a better show. A better season. I can't fully figure out which it is, but now I'm watching it now. I still think it's on a different tier. Um, but I got a little ahead of myself there. But Will, I want to ask you,
Hmm.
where are your excitement levels for season 5, and were you happy with this date announcement?
Yeah. I mean, my excitement level is through the roof for season five, and I thought the date announcement teaser was absolutely phenomenal. Like Stranger Things is the show. Like this is what I so appreciated about that Stranger Things season five trailer. First of all, as I think we were texting about after it dropped, Cam, I'm in total agreement with you that the release date, the release dates for the three-part season five are perfect. If I remember correctly, I think it was November 26th, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. I
Yeah.
think that's perfect. Split into 3 parts, but super close together so you don't have a long wait period of multiple months, which Cobra Kai did with its sixth season. So I want to start by saying I think the release schedule for the 3 parts is absolutely fantastic. But this is what I truly appreciated about that trailer. Let's take if you take a character like if you take a look at 11, Millie Bobby Brown's character from Stranger Things, one of the reasons that she's such a phenomenal character is that they're putting her front and center and giving her super compelling things to do in great scenes every single season. Like 11 is the type of character where any Stranger Things season you watch, you know she's going to be front and center and that they're going to be doing riveting things with that character. But there are other characters on the show who, let's take Joyce, for instance. She's a great character, but I've never loved her as a character in seasons 2, 3, and 4 like I did in season 1. And it's not that she wasn't great in seasons 2, 3, and 4. It's just I feel in season 1, her son goes missing. And I just
More personal.
more personal. I just felt like that created such a great storyline for that character. And I thought Winona Ryder's performance in that season was so perfect. Sometimes, like in a TV show or a movie, someone's son might go missing, and I don't feel like their mother has a realistic or believable reaction to it. Joyce, the complete opposite. I thought Winona Ryder's performance was perfect. I thought she perfectly captured how a mother would be acting when her son disappears. I thought that was completely believable. So Joyce, great character, but I don't think they've given her a truly great season since season 1. Will, I think he's a great character, but they haven't had him front and center since season 2. Max was always a compelling character, but I don't feel she reached her full potential until they put her really front and center in the spotlight in season 4. So it's not like I have a problem with them taking characters like that, putting them front and center one season and then moving them into a background another season. Because a show like Stranger Things, there's a bunch of characters in it, so you don't have time to put everybody front and center every season. But when I watched that trailer and I saw that they gave Winona Ryder the first line, and then they put Will front and center in the trailer, I thought that was so perfect because I felt like it was such a way, yes, for the show to come full circle. Because the vanishing of Will Byers, which obviously I believe the title of the first episode, and just his disappearance, that's what kicked off the whole show. The whole show started with the character of Will Byers disappearing and Joyce needing to go out on the hunt for him. And I just they haven't put Will front and center since season 2, but it's still clear that that's a character who plays a pivotal role in the show, clearly has a connection with the Upside Down. So I thought the trailer was phenomenal. I think the release schedule is perfect. I'm absolutely pumped for this season. And look, do I think they will put Millie Bobby Brown, and rightfully so, do I think they'll put her front and center again? Of course. I think they'll do that, and totally deservedly so. 11 is a riveting character, but I also really appreciated how they put Joyce and Will back front and center, because I think there's more to do with those two characters, and as you said, a great way to bring the show full circle.
Yeah, definitely. And sorry, just wanted to touch on this. It's a little bit of a discontinue from what you were saying. You mentioned it, the dates. We were both fine with the dates. I think that's just gonna build a lot of hype without doing the Cobra Kai thing, dragging it way longer than it had to be. But people are saying if you're gonna do it like that, which I think they're saying they're fine with that, but why not just do a weekly release, like a week by week release?
Hmm.
Which I would be that would be really cool, and you could
Yeah.
still have the finale drop on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
That could still be a thing that happens. So I don't know. I think that would be equally exciting.
Oh
And
yeah.
I see both sides. I like what Netflix is doing because we'll be able to see more episodes at once, and it's still building the excitement. And each episode's like an hour and a half long. So I mean, that's obviously something we have to take into consideration when looking at just being 8 episodes and then being split apart. It's gonna feel longer than what 3 episodes at a time. The
Hmm.
finale itself is like 2.5 hours, so it might have been shorter than that. But they mentioned it being something around the 2 hour something length. And they've also been, I think we mentioned this on the pod before, but screening the show in theaters, which obviously that would be amazing to see this on the big screen. That'd be a tremendous viewing experience. Um, but also kind of moving to more actual story based stuff this season. I noticed there were some new characters who seem to be getting introduced this season, and usually when Stranger Things does that, it's pretty much always worked out in their favor. Think
Definitely.
about all the iconic characters that haven't originated in season 1 and have just popped up. You got Bob season 2, you got
Yep.
Max, who else you got? You got
Eddie.
Eddie, yeah, you got Eddie, you got Argyle, who for some weird reason isn't returning for season 5,
Very strange.
which just stuns me. But you had, even to a point, what was his name? Jason in season 4, the basketball player, I believe that was his name, Jason.
Oh yeah.
Um, but, like I said, I've been rewatching season 4. He's a pretty good character. I kind of like seeing what he's doing because yeah, when I first watched, I was like, "Oh, he's a terrible guy. He's an awful guy." He's not a great guy. He's definitely like kind of like a jerk. But put yourself in Jason's shoes. I would be very upset if what happened to him happened to me and I didn't have any real answers. We only think he's crazy and a villain because we know what's going on, like what the characters do. He has no clue what's going on, and I just think that just shows the benefit of rewatching this show and showing all the details you can pick up. Like how people online have been pointing out how there are some frames where you actually possibly could be able to spot Vecna. There are some season 1 shots where you can see a figure shaped like Vecna lurking. So that there's just a bunch of theories I've been seeing go around, and it's just the discourse around Stranger Things after this trailer has just been amazing. But that brings me back to this new characters. I don't think introducing multiple new characters while also taking away Argyle is the best thing to do for the final season of the show. It will probably work out, but it's not what I want. I want them. We've spent 4 seasons introducing new characters. I think in watching these characters grow, they're grown. They've hit it. This is where they just go, right? They've hit the. This is prime Stranger Things. They shouldn't have to be adjusting to new people now. I think that was kind of an iffy decision from the Stranger Things writers, the Duffers, but I'm sure they know what they're doing. Does that concern you, Will?
Um, I mean, I agree with you that it might not be the smartest choice to bring in multiple new characters in the final season of the show. I'm in agreement with you on that, but I also come back to I trust the Duffer Brothers until I see otherwise. I had now granted I had a very similar thing with the Cobra Kai creators because I loved the first 5 seasons of that show so much, and then they proved to me that they went a season too far in season 6. So that does go to show you that even great creators like the like the Duffer Brothers can make mistakes, like what you're talking about bringing in new
Yeah.
characters in its final season. But I would say ultimately, I have faith in the Duffer Brothers until I see otherwise. And one of the big reasons I have faith in them is just after seeing Cobra Kai season 6 and Karate Kid Legends, it's just so clear to me that everything in the Miyagi verse just culminated when Daniel defeated Terry Silver at the end of season 5, and there just wasn't much story left to tell after that. Whereas Stranger Things season 4 ended on such a cliffhanger to where there was no way you couldn't do a season 5. There's so much story, seemingly left to be told. So I agree with you, a bit concerning, but at the end of the day, I trust in the Duffer Brothers until I receive a legitimate reason not to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm in agreement. But honestly, no matter what is gonna happen, these new characters getting introduced, I'm still gonna be eagerly anticipating the season. And speaking of that, I kind of just wanted to go over the episode titles quickly.
Let's do
If we
it.
have any ideas, I suggest we give them now. Chapter 1, The Crawl. The way that sounds like an upside down episode.
Yeah.
And I'm on IMDb right now, and there's a photo that's been released from the episode of Dustin and Steve. It was in the official announcement, and I guess according to IMDb, that's from this episode, and they're in the upside down. And
Okay.
just based off the title, makes sense. Kind of expected this. I feel like this season's gonna pick up right in the middle of the action, which is awesome. What do you think of the upside down episode?
Yeah. I would say upside down episode for sure with a title like The Crawl. And if there was a photo of Dustin and Steve in the upside down, I think that basically confirms it. And to what you're saying about this season picking up in the middle of the action, I could see them doing that because I think I have heard that there's going to be a bit of a time jump for this upcoming season, which would make sense. So, if they just start it right in the middle of the action with Dustin and Steve and the upside down, that could be super exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I always like it when shows or movies kind of just kick off and start with a bang. I just get way more captivated when that happens because there's less time for you to get lost in that doesn't make sense or this or that. You're just in it. Um, Chapter 2. This is the most interesting one. Chapter 2, The Vanishing of. That's it. The Vanishing
Fascinating.
of. Do we think it could be, yeah, The Vanishing of, that could be the official title? Or could it be when we get this episode, there'll be a name there?
That's a great question. I'm gonna lean. I think I lean more toward they'll just keep it at that to not reveal. Who's going to be vanishing, but I can't know for sure. Which way do you lean, Cam?
I could see it going both ways, and I could see it just kind of inferencing or obviously kind of giving you the assumption like the vanishing of Will Byers. That's a callback to season 1, and it just kind of makes sense for us to think Will. So that also leads me to think that they're going to completely subvert our expectations, and it's not going to be Will, and it's going to be something crazy. But I could really see it going both ways. Chapter 3, The Turnbow Trap.
Ooh.
Honestly, no clue what this episode could be about. Possibly some sort of scheme, some sort of Vecna trapping scheme. I mean, I feel like that's something we'd have to actually be watching season 5 to know. I mean, that we'll definitely get more context on that. But I mean, do you have any ideas what that could be?
I lean toward what you said about it being some type of Vecna trap, because if you have trap in a title, my mind would kind of automatically go to Vecna because he's the lead villain of the show now. So what you're saying about it being some type of Vecna trap, I would say that would be my best guess.
Yeah, and on Vecna, I've heard people saying that it's possible that Vecna ends up not being the main villain of this
Okay,
season.
interesting.
And you know that three-headed dragon thing that Will drew? I guess,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I guess people are having theories that that is going to be a big thing because I guess that's a real thing in D&D, which obviously this whole show is kind of based off of.
Yeah.
Speaking of D&D, this episode kind of gives me that sort of vibe. Um, Sorcerer. That's like a total Dungeons and Dragons type vibe episode. Maybe it's a plan that involves something that they've learned from playing Dungeons and Dragons or gaining knowledge from something that they've learned from that game. Because, like I just said, it plays such a big part of the show, and that's kind of always been centered around that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I would definitely lean toward what you said of them doing something based off of knowledge that they've gained from Dungeons and Dragons. I would say that would make the most sense, and I remember those scenes in the early seasons of. Like I think when the show started, they might have shown a scene of Will and Mike and Lucas and Dustin all together playing Dungeons and Dragons. So maybe they could have a scene of them all playing Dungeons and Dragons together again as kind of a flashback to the early
Yeah.
days of the show.
And the next one, Chapter 5, I agree with you, by the way. Big time on Chapter 4. But Chapter 5, I have two ideas here. Chapter 5, Shock Jock,
Hmm.
which obviously it's a shock jock is a term for a radio personality, talk show host, or a DJ who deliberately gives offensive, controversial, or provocative language to attract attention,
Okay.
um, which kind of sounds like a Murray thing to me, like a Murray thing to me. Um, which I don't know why. Like I can't say like I can't give an exact reason why, but that screams Murray. Maybe that's a me thing. But my other idea here, you know who's a jock?
Who's that?
Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
Steve was a jock in high school. Steve is a fan favorite character. This is the final season.
Mm-hmm.
Shock. Shocking. Jock. I think it's possible that this is the episode where Steve Harrington dies.
Ooh. Yeah.
Which, I mean, it could also be something about a radio host or whatever, like I said, the actual definition is, but I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, what do you think? Well, do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility that it could center around Steve or Murray, but like, there's another part of me that's like, okay, if they killed somebody off this season, that wouldn't shock me because they've killed off people like Max's brother and Bob and Eddie on the show before. But there's another part of me that's like, the characters they have chosen to kill off, they haven't had on the show for too long to where you have like a long amount of time to become emotionally invested in them. I mean, Max's brother wasn't even likable, but Bob was only there for one season. Eddie was only there for one season, so it's sad when those two characters died, but they were only there for one season, so you didn't get that much time to develop an emotional connection with them. Not that they weren't great characters. So there's one part of me that's like, maybe this is the season where Stranger Things finally decides to break our hearts and kill off one of the main characters who has been on the show since season one. But there's another part of me that's like, we love these characters as fans so much, and would the Duffer Brothers actually do that because they know how heartbreaking it is. So there's one part of me that's like, maybe this is the season where they finally do that, but then there's another part of me that's like, maybe they'll, bring in another new character that they'll kill off, but like all the core people on the show, they'll follow the tradition of not killing them off because they know how much the fans care about them.
I think the fact that no one really has no, I don't want to say central characters because people who have died are central characters, but the original characters. I think the fact that none of the original characters have died makes it more likely that
Maybe,
Steve
yeah.
Harrington is gonna die. I don't think the Duffers want to do a Game of Thrones thing or whatever, just kill everyone off and deaths left and right. But if they are gonna do a death, I'm almost positive they're gonna kill Steve Harrington. And there is a leaked audio clip of that scene of Will saying "run." He's saying, "Steve, run,
Oh,
run,
wow.
Steve." Yeah, I was trying to
Okay, well
find
that
that.
oh, that's
Yeah,
really really fascinating because in the trailer they make it look like Will saying run to everybody, but if he's saying run specifically to Steve, that's very very interesting.
it was a very granted low quality video, and I'll let you be the official judge of what he said when I sent it to you. But it went viral a few months ago. It was just from right off set. Everything was all set, and you could just hear Noah's voice.
Okay.
Steve, you have to run. And
Fascinating. Wow.
with the context of what we saw on the date announcement, it just kind of gives you chills. Moving on from that, we have Escape from Camazotz.
Ooh.
Um, maybe Steve dies and they get captured. Possible. Maybe it's a Russian thing. How was the Russian plotline settled in season 4? Do you remember?
Oh my goodness. I mean I remember I think I think by the end of season I don't remember all the details, but I remember by the end of season 4 Joyce, Hopper, and Murray had returned to Hawkins and they weren't in Russia anymore.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think if any of the episodes are gonna have something to do with the Russians, that's probably definitely one of them that would have to do with it. Episode 7, the bridge. Maybe the bridge to the upside down. Maybe that
Yeah.
becomes a thing, a literal thing called the bridge,
Hmm.
where people access through the upside down. That's most likely to me. And then the finale of Stranger Things, December 31st, Chapter 8, The Right Side Up. I mean, does that even need elaboration?
If
I
you're
mean,
a if you're a Stranger Things fan, I don't think that needs any elaboration at all.
no way. And I think that is a slight confirmation that they won to a point. We don't know
Oh,
how much they
definitely.
lost or what they had to sacrifice or what they had to do, but we're thinking they won. And I mean, if they imagine if like they lost and we never saw anything from Stranger Things again, that'd be terrible. It'd be an awful way to end the
Yeah.
show. But that is just a perfect title to end off this very impressive show. So me overall, I am looking forward a lot to this upcoming season of Stranger Things. I can't wait to dive deeper into it in future episodes of the podcast. But quickly before we wrap up this episode, I wanted to give my thoughts on the Phoenician scheme, which I'll also
Yeah.
probably elaborate on more in a future episode. Um, I was worried it was going to be more of the same for Wes. It wasn't. It was a switch up. Sure, the cinematography remained similar, but it did enough different to where I was still happy. The performances from Benicio del Toro, Mia Thruppleton, and Michael Cera were the standouts, obviously. Michael Cera, in particular, was a standout with what was a pretty unexpected twist from him. And honestly, I was very happy with this movie. I thought all the little cameos were great. I think Bill Murray had a very good role in the movie, but Will, I'm sure you're going to see this movie at some point. Do not go into it expecting a lot of Bill Murray. Bill Murray
Okay.
is not in the movie for a long time.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
the role he plays in the movie, the character in which he's playing, is pretty wild, to say the
Yeah.
least.
That's great.
Um, yeah, so it was good to see him and Wes back together, even though he had like 5 lines and was barely in the movie. It's just
Right.
good to see them working together again. Um, really happy to see Wes back, doing what he loves. And word on the street is he's back to work. He's working on another movie right now,
Wow.
a suspenseful, scarier movie he announced at the Cannes Film Festival, which, props to him. He loves what he does, and he just is constantly working. Um, so with that, thank you all very much for watching this episode of the Everything Podcast. Will, thank you for joining me as always. We'll see you next time.